Hey yo, what's good though? Soul here and welcome back to my story mode. So let me just say real quick, I want to thank you guys so much for the massive support on the channel in the previous week or so. It has been very helpful and I appreciate every single one of you guys. It's been a little hectic on the channel as of recently because I've been attempting my hand at daily content for you guys. In the midst of everything, I figured, hey, I should probably hand the mic over to them for a minute because I should only be giving my opinion so much, they have a voice too. So I figured it was about time for another response video. Just a couple of days ago in a community tab, I asked you guys your wants and don't wants for Generation 9 of Pokemon. And I want to thank y'all again because y'all gave me a lot to work with today. Frankly, I did not think that I was going to be doing this video this soon, but here we are. Y'all gave me a lot of comments, so we're going to dive right into your guys' wishes, hopes, requests, and things like that for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We're going to go ahead and kick things off with Jonathan Marshall, who says, "My wishes are that Frostbite, Drowsy, effort levels, and being able to move around in battle and key that smooth transition from Pokemon Legends Arceus. Also, I hope the game is just really solid because we've had a lot of inconsistency recently. Starting with the status effects that you mentioned, honestly, I couldn't agree more. As opposed to just being completely frozen in ice or absolutely completely asleep, I feel like these are more realistic status effects. You know me by now. You know that I overthink everything logically, and logically speaking, a Pokemon should not be dead asleep getting attacked that hard. Also, if they really were to bring over these status effects to replace frozen or completely sleeping, then I feel like in a competitive sense, it can really help with the balance. Being frozen completely is just completely busted. It's really unfair to possibly have 5 chances where your opponent just can't do anything and you can absolutely just wash the Pokemon that's on the field. And as far as Drowsy goes, I think it makes more sense for the Pokemon to maybe sometimes not want to do a move because they're too tired or exhausted to do so. And also with that line of thinking, you can raise the accuracy of moves like Hypnosis. If it's not guaranteed to make them not attack every single turn, then you may as well have Hypnosis ready to go more often. You see? A little bit of balance. And as far as your second wish goes, yeah, I completely agree. The inconsistency with these games lately have been weird. For starters, we barely have a fine line anymore for what determines what's a spin-off and what's a mainline game. We've had this problem ever since we transitioned over to the Switch. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and Pokemon Legends Arceus are prime culprits. We are about to hit our 5th Pokemon game on the Switch. 3 of those Pokemon games have been mid as hell and the 4th one was damn near perfect. So I'm sure that a lot of us right now are just praying to Shinx that they actually follow the recipe that they created for the previous game so that these games can literally be the perfect generation of Pokemon. It has so much potential, it's not even funny. Moving along, we're gonna pass the mic over to sleepypiplup, who says, "It's really small, but I want something like Pokemon Camp to return in Gen 9. I just love seeing my Pokemon hang out with each other and let me play with them. I feel like I get a stronger bond with my team." Ever since we got introduced to Pokemon and me in 6th Gen, I feel like it's been really hard for us to go without something like that. Easily, without a doubt, one of Gen 8's best features was the introduction to Pokemon Camp. Being able to play with them, watch them interact, and feed them was a glorious thing. I feel like it would have been awesome to implement that feature in literally the next 2 games afterwards, but I guess for whatever reason, it wasn't worth the trouble. Given the fact that we're back to these big-ass wild areas, maybe there's a good chance of something very much like it coming back. We'll have to see what the game brings us. The day that I can finally interact with a gaggle of Shinx yet again will be a very happy day. Next along is JennyDorens, who says, "I would love to be able to face gyms in any order I want. This is an open world game and as such I want open exploration. Don't block me off from going past a location just because I haven't beaten a gym. Putting a wall of people or Pokemon in my way is the opposite of what I think for an open world. Things I would hate to have is a boring or non-existent story. Open world games are only as good as the story moving your exploration in my opinion." Bro, I couldn't agree more. When an open world game is already overwhelming, if the story doesn't really excite you or drive you to continue the game, it's super easy to put it down. Hence why I literally never went back to Skyrim. It's funny saying this though because usually Pokemon's general story, at least with the last couple of games, have not been the driving force whatsoever for me. I mean Legends a little bit, but In this specific situation, personally, I'm not really holding out much hope for a story because if I know them, I know that they put their heart and soul into the mechanics of this new world. As far as the story, there will be one, I guess. Now, usually when it comes to blocking off areas, that's usually a big progression thing. However, if you're gonna call yourself an open world game, quote unquote, having obstacles really hurts that idea. Look at games like Elden Ring, Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2, and dare I say, Breath of the Wild. All games which carry the label open world, and not a single one limits you on where you're allowed to go first or last. Hell, even with Pokemon Legends, it feels kind of weird that it took this long to get to this point. Hell, even this time in certain areas we were pretty damn restricted, but at least it was because we didn't have the power to get there as opposed to something blocking our path. Hopefully they give us something more like that and don't block our path with something stupid, like a sleeping Gyarados or something. Don't do that. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and put the spotlight on MariannePoole, who says, "My want and don't want kinda play into each other. I want strong character designs. Sword and Shield's character designs were top notch. But then we got BDSP, where none of the characters were redesigned, and it disappointed me a lot. Sorry, Ilka. Legends Arceus had great designs, but they were limited to the ancient Japanese aesthetic for the most part." So the recent track record has been split, and based on the pro tag models and artwork, it looks like this game's designs are gonna lean in a direction that I don't like. One of my favorite part of every new generation is watching characters get revealed and gain fans, and their design is a huge part of that. Fingers crossed the pro tags are just an anomaly. As far as your primary concern goes, I wouldn't worry all too much. If there's anything that Pokemon knows how to do right for the most part, it's character designs. I wouldn't really put Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl on that list because it is just a remake, and usually when we get remakes, the designs of the characters aren't necessarily changed per se. Their 3D models are usually just made so that they fit their original sprites. Does that make sense? Besides all that though, I gotta say, after transitioning to 3D, 7th Gen really got the ball rolling when it came to character design. And it's really weird to praise 8th Gen 2 times in one video, but I'm gonna say it anyway. 8th Gen had peak character design. We had Leon, Marnie, Nessa, Sonia. Come on, bro. All these back-to-back banger designs for one generation? That was phenomenal, bro. Even if they weren't utilized properly whatsoever, they looked good. And don't lie to me and tell me that you didn't think that Legends had some pretty fire character designs too. Have you seen Adamant, bro? Come on now. I read is kinda mid, but we gotta take some L's every now and again, so it's okay. Now I will say, the initial starting off your journey protagonists could use a little work. Like I said in one of my previous videos, if we aren't allowed to absolutely decorate the hell and back out of this character, it's gonna be a very bad time. I personally don't mind the artwork as much though. I feel like they look pretty decent there for the most part, and I'm sure once we see more characters, I'm sure we'll ease into the designs a little bit more, so we'll have to see what happens. We have a long ways away until these games come out, so let's meet some new characters first before we start, absolutely dogging everybody into the ground, Next up to the stage is Moderate Gamer 333, who says, "I want Gen 9 to keep Pokemon Legends Arceus catching mechanics outside of wild battling. I don't want agile and strong style mechanics to return. It felt imbalanced during trainer battles." Okay, big fella, I see where your head's at. The catching mechanic in Pokemon Legends Arceus outside of battle felt so much better than a lot of us thought it was gonna feel. And while it does feel a little overdramatic and a tad redundant to say this again, it does feel like the future of Pokemon when you're able to have that power. I feel like it's such a small thing to include, and in an open world game like they claim it is, I feel like it would be kinda ridiculous to not have that. Hopefully everybody was just reading too much into things, and that whole battling before catching thing that they wrote on the description of the website doesn't mean anything. In that next trailer, I have no doubt in my mind that we're probably gonna know whether or not we're gonna have that mechanic back, so we'll see what plays out with that. Now, as far as not wanting the strong and agile style mechanic back, I can't really say that I blame you. I do think that it's a very unique mechanic and a fun gimmick to utilize in Pokemon Legends. However, you're kinda right, it could definitely use a little bit of a balance patchwork, especially against trainers. Thankfully in Legends Arceus there was only a good handful of trainer battles, so it was a little bit harder to notice, but overall, that mechanic is kinda busted. And even if they were to balance things out, honestly, I feel like it's one of those mechanics that's just better left in Pokemon Legends. Like, I'd be totally fine with it coming back, but it would be kind of unfitting for this era of Pokemon. Like, it's absolutely perfect for that era, and if they continue the Pokemon Legends series as its own thing, then awesome, they can absolutely bring that back for the next game and introduce some new weird gimmick for Gen 9. So if it comes back, I'll live. If it doesn't come back, I will also live. Next speaker in line is FairyRose, who says, I want to see at least one substantial side activity along the lines of Contest or the Underground. Give me something I can sink time into when I want a break from catching and battling. I don't want interesting environments to be sacrificed in order to create an open world. Better the secret-filled roots of the 2D games than the vast emptiness of Sword and Shield's wild area. Give me stuff to interact with, like Breath of the Wild. Pokemon Legends Arceus does this a bit, but it needs to be a lot better. As far as that substantial side activity, I absolutely could not agree more. Bro, Gen 3 is about to get praised 3 times in one video. What timeline are we in? Raid battling is the sole reason that Pokemon Sword and Shield got as much time out of me as it did. Even before the DLC came out, I spent days on days just battling random Dynamax Pokemon. And then when both DLCs did come out, I spent time battling more Dynamax Pokemon, catching more Pokemon, and then diving headfirst into the max raid adventures. I spent so much time on those things. And I will say, of all the bad things to come out of the remakes, the one good thing was definitely the Grand Underground. For a good week or so straight, me and my friends would go down there for hours on end just mining, just getting everything we needed down there. And eventually we just kind of stopped because we all kind of realized that finishing the Pokédex in that game would be a pointless task, so we didn't. Anyhow, my point is, I pretty much completely agree with you. I'm really looking forward to the reveal of whatever the new gimmick is, because if it's something awesome, that means that me and my friends are going to have a grand time just spending hours on that thing. And hopefully I could spend it with you guys too. Maybe more live streams will come out of that if they do it properly. We'll see what happens. And as far as your second concern goes, also very valid. Now it's funny that this is brought up because in the original script for my Goods and Bads of Scarlet and Violet video, I originally was gonna write something regarding the environments. Basically, I wrote something along the lines of, I really don't want them to sacrifice too much overworld space for the sake of these big ass cities that it looks like we're gonna get. In Pokemon Legends Arceus, it worked out perfectly and we didn't really have anything to worry about because we only had Jubilife Village. Coming back to a modern era that's apparently open world, we're probably expected to have at least like 15 to 20 different cities. So what does that mean for the overworld? Are they gonna make it bigger, or is it gonna be like all shoved into one big open world and it's gonna look really crammed and awkward? And to focus more on your specific concern, if we are supposed to get a true open world, what are these environments gonna be filled with? Yeah, of course, Pokemon, duh, probably in every single corner. That doesn't really concern me too much. However, if we're not getting the crafting mechanic back, then it is very likely that we could end up going back to something very similar to Sword and Shield, where there's just a couple of trees around to hit or shake or whatever, and then Pokemon to catch, and then that's just kind of it. Or at least as far as collecting things in the overworld goes. In reality, as far as a very interactive overworld goes, in this situation specifically, I feel like it kind of depends on if they bring back the crafting mechanic, because if they don't, I have no idea what we're going to be doing half the time. But hey, even Breath of the Wild didn't have a real crafting mechanic, but we could still cut down trees and cook stuff, so, you know, there was a lot to pick up. Maybe they could take some notes out of that notebook. Either way, whatever they do decide to do with that ultimately is going to make or break that overworld for us, so let's hope they give us plenty to do. Next along, we're going to go ahead and move on to Gravity the Ghost, who says, Big want, voice acting. Need I say more? Big not want. Personally, don't think we need a Pokemon following you feature. It works a lot better as a sprite-based or 2D playing game. I think they should just do what Arceus did for playing with your Pokemon but expanding upon it. Maybe directly feeding them or something. Let's start with the voice acting thing. Honestly, I think it's about damn time. I don't know what is taking this series so long to finally accept the idea that people want actual stories with real characters with real voices. Text boxes are okay for the appropriate situations, but we're in an era now where pretty much most RPGs have every single NPC voice acted. Now, I'm not saying that we even need to go that far. Pokemon hasn't done it yet, so we should probably take some baby steps first. If anything, I think that it would be really neat if it took the Breath of the Wild approach. Not every teeny tiny interaction with an NPC needs voice acting. That's totally fine. However, it's insane to me that this series thinks that it can just comfortably give us these crazy animated cutscenes with their mouths moving and dialogue, but no voices coming out of their... What were they thinking with that? For starters, do I really need to bring up the Piers situation again? It was absolutely insane to me that the only thing that we could hear was the mic being hit. Why was he not saying any... Why? Why? What is with that scene? Anyway, general annoyances aside, imagine at the end of Pokemon Sword and Shield when we were fighting Eternatus. Imagine if Hop and Leon both had actual voices. Leon telling you to get away and be careful, and Hop saying, "Yo, raise the shield!" Even if the story was complete ass, with some actual good voice acting, they could still bring out some decent emotion. Also, voice acting could really help establish some memorable characters. Wanna know why everybody's weirded out every time they hear a Pokemon character talk in either one of those miniseries that they release or the anime? Because these characters do not have any form of established voices. So now every single time I watch the dub or the sub of either the anime or one of those animated shorts, I'm completely baffled. I've gone from literally never even hearing these characters grunt to hearing them speak full sentences, and it's jarring. Nothing against the dub voice actor for Leon in the anime, but I don't know, it just didn't fit for me. Anyway, I could probably ramble about this into an entirely different video, but point is, you're right, the series needs voice acting. Now to move on to your second thing, that's a pretty interesting one. We have been begging to have a good version of that feature back since Heart Gold and Soul Silver. That's a very long time of begging. Eventually, we got the mechanic back in Pokemon Let's Go, and while it functioned pretty well, the game was mid. And then, through the DLC, we finally got it back in Sword and Shield. And it sucked. Ass. It looks really bad. And then, as a teeny weeny little bonus, we actually ended up getting it in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl 2. And ultimately, while it was kind of nice to have, it created a lot more issues. This is actually something that I completely forgot to bring up in my review, I think, but they would actually, like, spawn in the way sometimes, and they would, like, block your path when you're trying to get to somewhere, especially when the roads that you're walking on are super narrow or thin, and they would just spawn right in front of you, and you'd be stuck for a minute. It was a nice idea in theory, but it was not executed well, especially because they were even lazy with a lot of the animations for these Pokemon. First off, some of them just didn't look right when they were on the move, and then to top things off, some of them, size-wise, just looked laughable. All in all, they need to go back and do some studying with Pokemon Let's Go to really figure out how to nail down this whole Pokemon following you in 3D. Until then, I am absolutely more than fine with what we had in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Maybe taking them out and actually having more options to interact with them would be really nice. Or hell, like we said earlier, Pokemon Camp would be a dope option. But yeah, agreed, until they've pretty much really truly ironed out that mechanic, y'all can keep that one in the oven. Next along, we're gonna pass the mic over to Jasmine A, who says, any quality of life changes introduced in Pokemon Legends Arceus, such as naming your mons and changing moves on the go, should carry over to Scarlet and Violet. Cooking would also be good as a Chow Garden-esque way to interact with your Pokemon. Oh, and the gym challenge returning is a must. We just had a game where they did away with it. They can make it work in an open world game. I don't want limited bag space or for them to follow the same story beats as Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon. I had enough of evil teams being a joke and them not being the actual antagonists. At this point, I feel like we've pretty thoroughly discussed why a lot of the Legends mechanics should transfer over to Generation 9, so I agree with you there. Also, the Chow Garden, bro, don't even get me started. I was literally playing Sonic Adventure 2 just like last week. Now, while I do enjoy the Chow Garden, I don't know if I would actually want that specific mechanic for Pokemon. I feel like it'd be kind of weird to have to go to an entirely different realm just to take care of your Pokemon. I feel like, you know, like we've talked about a couple of times now, Pokemon Camp would be totally fine. It has the cooking aspect and the interacting with Pokemon aspect that we want, so I'm down to clown. Now, as far as the gym challenge goes, we just had a whole video about that at this point, I believe yesterday. But to kind of sum up that video, basically, as long as we don't have a copy and paste of the boring, generic 8 gym badge to Elite Four system that we've had from generations 1 to frickin' 6, I'll be okay. I don't want it that basic anymore. I do give them props for at least trying to somewhat mix it up with the last 2 generations, so if we could get something more along those lines, but, you know, more refined and focused, I think we could have something really good on our hands. Now, as far as your last couple of concerns here, personally, I've never had a problem with bag space, but frankly, I've never understood the point of limited bag space, so let's not have that, I guess. And then when it comes to not following the story beats of 7th gen or 8th gen, I totally understand. I mean, in defense of 7th gen, at least Team Skull was, fun, and we at least had the Aether Foundation as the actual evil team of the game. Team Yell was a disappointment from the start. I mean, they were fun and all, but they had literally absolutely nothing to do with the main story, and that's super annoying. I want an evil team doing evil things again. That is also one of my big personal wishes for Scarlet and Violet. I kind of want to talk more in depth about the evil team as well as the rival for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but we'll get to that in another video. Just know, I want better for them. And now we're going to go ahead and end things off with Clefairy123 Snowflake 1, who says, "My wish for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, that it's a good game. One thing I want, expanded lore of the Pokemon world. One thing I don't want, a shallow story that doesn't matter to the protagonist, with no internal conflict whatsoever." As far as your first concern goes, I have no doubt in my mind that they'll talk more about the lore of the Pokemon world outside of the game, because for some reason, they like to talk about everything involving Pokemon and its lore outside of the games. I don't know why they do that. If they do it in the game, cool, awesome. I'm down to learn more about the lore of this region, more lore on the world that we didn't know before, whatever. But if they don't, cool, I guess we'll get that information in the next mini-series or something. And as far as a shallow story goes, yeah, I've pretty much stopped holding out hope for that. If you know me, you know that I'm a very heavy story guy, and when it comes to Pokemon, they've proven to me time and time again that they can do it, but they won't do it. I feel like they have this weird niche where they refuse to write deeper, darker stories to accommodate for their either newer players or for their younger players, and I get that, but you guys can at least write a decent story. But I don't know, if they do manage to write a good story for this upcoming game, cool, awesome. I highly doubt that it's going to be anything groundbreaking, but whatever. As long as they somehow manage to make the game super fun like they did with Legends Arceus, then I'm all for it. I don't care if the story is mid. But hey, this is just me being a little bit of a Debbie Downer because I've experienced this time and time again with Pokemon where they've consistently kind of disappointed me when it came to the story. But if you want to hold out hope, if you feel like they might actually have something cooking real good for the storyline in Scarlet and Violet, then by all means, bro, I hope everybody gets what they want out of these games. And I am super curious to see how they're gonna deliver. But with that, that just about does it for this response video here. Overall, I don't really have much else to say on this front other than I really hope everybody gets what they want out of these upcoming games. It's funny because this game is coming hot off the heels of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and most people want things that were from that game, and honestly, it's really not that hard to top. In reality, it's just give us 85% of Pokemon Legends Arceus with this new region, and then go ahead and maybe include some decent story. I really don't think it's that hard. Honestly, the bar is in hell right now for us. But then again, we have witnessed Pokemon take fat steps back time and time again, so it's just a matter of seeing if they're gonna do it this time. We'll see how it plays out. But anyhow, that just about wraps it up for this video. In case you missed my little message at the beginning there, because I'm definitely gonna put one now, I was struggling through this one. I'm sick as hell, so I'm sorry if I sounded really bad. This isn't the Rona, it's just allergies. I don't know why they're kicking my ass again, but I'm sorry if I sounded really weird throughout this video. If I don't feel better by tomorrow, or whenever this video comes out, then I don't know if I'm gonna have an upload ready for the day following, so forgive me, but I want to rest. I want to get past this so I can actually make some more quality stuff for you guys. But in the meantime, I'm gonna pass the mic on to you guys. I want to hear all of your guys' thoughts that didn't get to put all of their wishes up on the screen right now. Did you guys hear anything that you wanted? Did you guys see anything that you disagreed with? What are your wishes? What are your do's and don'ts for Scarlet and Violet? Let me know everything in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always down there with you guys. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle on out of here and go to sleep, because good lord, I am dying right now. So Anyway, I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content like this. And with that, I'm a jet up out. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Wow. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!